Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/maliciouscompliance, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. If you're new around here, please do hit subscribe down below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some malicious compliance. Awesome old lady on the train. This happened quite some years ago, when I had dizzy spells and would randomly pass out frequently. Still undiagnosed due to a bad doctor, but went away on its own. Due to these dizzy spells, I was very hesitant to give up my seat on the train/buses, as I was afraid I'd fall and hit someone/something. I would still stand up if someone really looked like they needed it and asked politely, but I just didn't offer. One day, I was getting on the train and an old lady carrying a cane wanted to board too. A gentleman offered her help. "Do you need a hand, ma'am?" "No thank you, I don't even need this cane." She swings it around. "But my husband insists that I use it just in case." She then hops on the train. I end up in the same area as the old lady, in two of the very few open seats. After a few stops, Karen enters. She had the haircut, the clothes, and the attitude. By now, all the seats are filled, and there are already people standing around due to the lack of seats. Karen pushes through a few people, looks around, and loudly exclaims to no one in particular, "Will nobody offer a lady their seat?" Nobody responds. She then goes around, complaining to a few random people sitting down that she needs to sit because she's been standing for over an hour. Oh, the horror. Try working retail. And just needs to put her feet up. On a full train? Okay. One person gets fed up and gives her his seat, right across from the old lady from before. The Karen now has a seat, but still no place to put her feet up. She complains to the person next to her and to the old lady that these trains are always so crammed, and it would be good if people who didn't need seats just gave them up. The awesome old lady took this as her cue, made a point of standing up really slowly and carefully, grabbing her cane and clutching it tightly, and said, "You can have my seat, your feet probably need it more." She then walked away very slowly, leaning heavy on her cane, and asking people to please step aside so she could fit through. Karen got many angry glares at this point, and she called out to the old lady, You can just keep sitting here, I don't need it that badly." And the old lady replied, "You just said that you really needed it, so take it," and walked to the next cabin. Karen couldn't see her anymore at this point, but from my seat I could see the old lady stand up straight and pick up the cane, swinging it around again. I don't think many people saw it because everyone continued to glare at Karen until she got off at the next stop. The old lady just really wanted to teach Karen a lesson by complying and acting her age, making Karen look like a horrible woman. She has been my hero ever since. Wow, to be fair, you have to give the Karen some sympathy. She had to stand for an entire hour. Like, imagine if she had to stand for like a minute more, she probably could have collapsed and just hurt herself or something. Gah. My manager accused me of theft. He got fired. Way back in the early 2000s, I worked at Blockbuster Videos in the UK. It wasn't my first job, but I was still in high school when I started, so it was near as damn it. I had a pretty good working relationship with my boss, and quickly moved up the ranks to one of the deputy managers. I was the person the manager would call to cover shifts, and honestly, unless I had a really good reason, I always did the extra because I actually really liked the job. I'm a film nerd, so I loved spending my working days talking to customers about movies. It also didn't hurt that I could rent any movie anytime for free. So this one particular Saturday, we were slammed. 3 staff members called in sick, we had a big new release movie that week, and we had a big computer game release on the Friday too. So it was manic. Halfway through my shift, a guy comes in and says that he bought a game the week before from the store and that he wanted a refund. He said I had served him, but hadn't given him a receipt. Now, I did remember serving the guy, but couldn't remember what he had bought, and frankly, even though it's automatic to give receipts, I couldn't guarantee I had. The problem was, that specific game was the only copy we apparently had. Our inventory said it was in store, but this guy had it. so somehow it had left the store without being processed. Either it had been stolen by this guy, it was some kind of error on my part, or I had actively given it to him and pocketed the money. To be clear, these are options from an objective point of view. I never stole from that job, so I definitely didn't do the last. My manager was working with me, so he refunded the guy, took the game back, and then, for the rest of the shift, didn't speak to me once. As we closed the store, that night, the manager took me into the office and proceeded to accuse me of stealing. Without evidence, he said that I had stole that game and pocketed the money. I, obviously, denied the claim. Things got heated, and it ended with him telling me to hand in my notice. 2 weeks. So, I did. I was heartbroken because I loved the job and knew I was innocent. I may have given it by accident, but I would never knowingly steal. So, 2 weeks later, my notice period is up. And, on my last shift, coincidentally, the area manager comes in. Now, I had quite a good relationship with the area manager. I'd been hired by them originally, and it was frequently noted by them that I always seemed to be on shift when they came in. They asked me how I was, and I said that I was sad that I was leaving. They didn't know this, so asked why. I explained the situation, and they immediately went to the office. Half an hour later, I got a call to go into the office. The area manager was sat with the CCTV footage from the day the man he'd said he bought the game. In the video, it showed me serving him, and as he left, he had a chat with the store manager. No sound on the CCTV, but they were clearly chatting. The manager was working in new inventory, ready to put out on the shelf. For some reason, the manager turned his back on the customer for a few moments, and as plain as day, the customer reached over the counter, grabbed something, and left. The area manager assumed this was the game. Well, the manager was called in. He was first asked why I had given him my notice, when the accusation against me deserved a meeting with the area manager and my immediate dismissal if I was guilty. The manager just stuttered something about not wanting to make a big deal. Then, the area manager asked the manager to explain what happened in the CCTV after showing it. The manager just sat quietly. Well, anyway, the area manager asked me at this point to rescind my notice, which I did. Though, I cannily asked for a few days extra paid holiday because I felt embarrassed by the theft accusation, and the area manager agreed. The area manager then said that they would be taking the month's worth of CCTV footage to have it looked over, because this act of negligence by the manager was a cause for concern. The blood ran from my manager's face at this point, but nothing further was said. I finished my shift and walked out with the AM to enjoy my week off. 3 days later, I got a phone call from the area manager, asking if I could meet him at the store that day. I obliged. When I arrived, the AM took me to the office and told me there had been a situation. During the CCTV checks, it had become apparent that the manager had been using the store for other reasons. One, a number of nights over the course of the month, he'd closed the store, then after the staff had gone, he'd invited people in. One night, he held a poker game in the staff room. Later we found out he'd been using the money from the tills to cover his losses and putting through refund notices to cover it. And on 3 other occasions, he was seen bringing in women to his office. Now, the women were known people in the area. The manager was also married. Well, the manager was automatically suspended while there was an investigation, and the reason I was brought in was to be asked to run the store in his absence. After the investigation was complete, it turned out the manager had been given hundreds of pounds of refunds per month, and falsifying who gave the refunds so it didn't look suspicious. This had gone on for years in multiple stores that he'd worked in. So, because he accused me of something I didn't do, he lost his job and his marriage. His wife obviously wasn't impressed by the women. And I got a promotion with a lovely raise. I'll never understand stories like this. Like, why would the manager put himself in a position where something's probably gonna happen, and then just to have it found out that he was the one all along? Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like, and if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.